Hello, everyone. Segment 3 of Money is Sexy on the Geeks Are Sexy platform here at the WCOBM. I'm Lisa Chastain, your host this Friday afternoon, with my amazing guest, Marianne Rumbola, who has become one of my best friends, and we coach each other, we love each other up, and ultimately we're just sisters, I think. We're in a sisterhood, and we're moving in the same direction in life. So I love having you on the show, because, you know, my mission is to coach and mentor millennial women who are about 10, 15 years younger than us. But I think any woman or any man really watching this would benefit from this content. So,
and my mission as well is
what's your mission?
To coach and hold accountability.
Yeah.
Right? And authenticity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So important.
To, support, bringing those fierce conversations alive.
Yep. So we want to awaken some fierce conversations within you this afternoon.
La, la, la.
So when it comes to living your authentic life, I told a story in segment 1 about the fact that I forgot my bra today and what was I going to do and I just decided to come into the show in my workout gear. I got my tennis shoes on, which is not typically how I would show up. I'm in a magazine. I've got this facade that you have to play this role in public life, and I think it's all good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there's like real days that we all have, right?
Some days the way I go outside, I'm like, oh my goodness.
And what I ultimately want to do is encourage you to live your authentic life. And what I know about people is really when we move into our authentic selves, we become loving, compassionate, caring, generous, thoughtful, all these amazing words. And it's the ego that separates us out and creates all this chaos, I think, in the world. But when it comes to reckoning, that was segment 1. Segment 2 was making necessary changes, making those changes. Segment 3 is how do you deal with the turbulence? And so what I coach my clients, and I'll let you talk here in just a second, what I coach my clients is when you commit to a vision, which I know you have and I have, you commit to a vision and you literally have to buckle up. Because you may not be in that vision right now. You may be over here living a different life, but you say, I want this. And so the universe, energetically, everything has to start to shift and move in order for you to go for that vision. And there's a lot of turbulence that will come up along the way. So
along the merger is what I call it.
Yeah, it's like a freeway merging, right?
It's like the freeway merging.
Yeah.
And it's really like taking compartments of things.
Okay.
For me, it was like taking, relationship, finances, kids, and really being, present to each one.
Okay.
And organizing the turbulence.
That's really important. Organizing is really important. Yeah.
And maintaining the discipline.
Yeah.
With the turbulence.
Sure. Discipline meaning I'm still committed to my vision even though today's rough or things seem rocky, I'm not going to bail.
And yes. And also knowing that every day you're taking steps, even if it's one step.
One baby step.
One step. Many books and many like high people like in the Army and whatnot, because I was raised by a Navy dad. The one thing you do first thing in the morning, you make your bed.
Yeah.
Because all they wanted to do is come home to a nice, comfy bed.
Right.
When at war or whatnot. So that's one thing I always do. Every morning I make my bed because no matter what day I have, I know I'm going back into that coziness.
How do you deal with, I know I have my own personal strategies. I write about them a lot on Facebook, but how do you deal with the turbulence of life? Because you've made some major transitions. And I know for younger women or any woman or anybody watching this show, it's like how can you learn how to be different, be better with what you have going on? How do you handle it?
So when you say turbulence, for me, what's coming up is anxiety.
Sure.
So anxiety, a lot of women, especially that I deal in the salon with a lot of women, face a lot of anxiety. And it's really...
That's so true.
Anxiety for me or turbulence comes up because I'm not living in my path. I'm off the path. I'm off course. I'm not seeing a possibility. You always have to, see a new possibility, have a different perspective on things. Once I learned to say anything that comes in and out of my life, whether I view it as positive or negative, it's always a positive. So even though I have a thought that it's a negative, I know that I'm not so much a God person, but universe is working for me.
Right.
I know that this is happening for a greater purpose, bigger than myself, and everything, no matter what, if I look back in my life, has always been fine.
Right.
And my life has only gotten better and
Right.
better. So it's really believing that everything is possible and to staying on that path of your vision.
Sure.
And one thing, Lisa, I have to, add into the turbulence, which has helped me so much, are daily disciplines.
Daily disciplines, daily routines. Right?
Daily-
What specifically are some of the things that you
For
do?
me, it's waking up and setting intention.
Okay.
Intention.
I love that.
And when I get off of that, I could babble. I can be all over the place.
Sure.
It's not pretty.
Right.
I'm going to breakdown like anybody else.
So having established routines.
Yes. So
Okay.
for me, it's meditating.
Okay.
Meditating at least 20 to 40 minutes
Wow.
a day.
Okay.
Sometimes I journal.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may like that better. Sometimes it's just reading.
Mm-hmm.
It's really having that solitude.
So it's waking up in the morning, having time for yourself. I see this with mothers all the time where they don't make time for themselves, or busy professionals, not even parents, where you're not making time for yourself. And what I'm hearing you say is that if you spend time in the mornings grounding, setting your intention for the day, really life is lived day to day. We
Moment
get
to
so
moment.
caught up in the future, moment to moment. We get so caught up in what's going on out there that if we ground and set our intention for the day, that we're going to be able to navigate the turbulence of life a lot better.
So, and another thing is like choosing joy.
Yes.
Choosing joy
I love that.
over anger. Like anger takes so much energy and creates the turbulence.
Yes.
One thing I found is that like once I choose happiness and I choose joy, and that it's such a conscious choice.
Yeah.
Like life becomes more fun.
It does.
Less difficult, and things just start happening.
Yeah.
It's like one
true.
of the amazing magical things that has been created this year for
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite questions to ask my clients is so I'm a money coach, and I literally all day long deal with people's money problems, which I love. And money problems suck. They can be really stressful. But I always ask the question, which I think is what you're saying, is who am I going to be about this? Am I going to let it train wreck my whole day? Am I going to be a drama queen about it? Am I going to take other people around me down with me because I'm stressed? Or am I going to continue to show up loving
Yes.
and joyful and abundant? And I know I've seen you put the smile on your face some days where you're like,
And I'm in breakdown,
freaking
but
out.
I'm freaking out. Yeah, and I'm like, even like I'm human. I get hurt. My feelings. I get sad.
sure.
I have sad days.
Sure.
Though I know it's something that will pass. That
it
we're-
will.
like I'm a human being. We can't forget that
That's
either.
true. That's so
You
true.
know.
I
So
agree.
it's so important to stay present in the moment, and that's why the baby steps during the turbulence is so important. Because
Absolutely.
yes, we get to have a vision, we get to have a future that we want, though knowing it's steps that we take.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So-
Baby steps, moment to moment. How I keep asking. I love talking to you. I feel like we're at happy hour having a
Yay.
conversation. But if you're
But we're going after this.
Yes, we're going to go after this. If you're tuning in, make sure you share this out. If you love what you're hearing, share this out to your friends. I think they could benefit from it as well. My next question as we close out this segment is, a lot of people are afraid of making big decisions because they're afraid of rocking the boat with their family, or they're afraid of rocking the boat with their friends. And I think you're such a wealth of wisdom, and you really are walking the talk in your life. Like, how would you talk to the audience about that?
Certainty.
Okay.
So it's not on a whim, it's not out of an emotion that you're making a choice. It's out of certainty that's within yourself that this needs to be done for the greater good of my kids, for the greater good of humanity. It's a total outward focus decision making moment when in making those decisions.
You have to be so certain
So certain.
and so grounded and connected to yourself that you know that it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, you just know it's the right thing.
know
It's
it
a
is.
knowing.
And then what though? Like, how do you deal
Well, it's
with...
always going to be uncertainty there, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I have to be honest with all of you right now. I'm in a question of my life right now.
Please tell us.
I'm redirecting my vision.
Okay.
You know, in where I want to really commit to coaching.
Okay.
Where in my salon, where I'm taking that, they both overlap right now. I do a lot of coaching in the chair, as you know.
You do.
But really bringing that to life,
Okay.
helping others to achieve joy and peace, you know, because nothing fulfills me more than making that difference.
How do you deal with people who disagree with you about that or have different opinions?
That's been a stretchy thing for me.
Because women, we want people's approval. We want approval. What happens when we don't get it or someone disagrees?
Yeah, so that I can work with women with, because I used to have that conversation myself in the past.
People pleaser?
Oh, huge people pleaser.
Yeah.
And sometimes I still struggle with it because I like to have a win-win. I'm always about creating a win-win.
I get that.
In the question that you're asking,
Yes, about making sure, like, how do you have difficult conversations with people, or how do you work with people who disagree with you?
I respect their opinion. I'll offer them the light of saying, okay, so what if they could see it in this? Would that make a difference?
Okay.
Though I always take into consideration where their come from is and who they are.
Sure.
Because we all have had different experiences and have different knowledge in life. I don't know everything yet, and I never will.
Yeah.
It's just the way
You
it
don't
is.
know.
You know,
true.
I mean, but look at how we've evolved in life.
It's amazing.
We have to really take, there's so many possibilities out there that we can create anything. And I am in that now new possibility. That's why I say I'm in the question of what's next. I've taken all the risks, and that's why there's always another risk to take and another uncertain moment. And it's like, just move with it. Learn to flow, learn to trust. Look at places in your life that you've already had accomplishments, places in your life that have lit your heart on fire, and bring yourself back to those spaces to carry you over to the next.
And be willing to have difficult conversations with people. But also what I'm hearing, and this is something I learned in college, which is through the social change model of leadership, which is really learn to have controversy with civility. And I don't believe in agree to disagree. We don't agree to disagree. We come together and we have controversy out of respect and love. We may not agree, and that's okay. But out of certainty, you're still going to move. You're still going to make your own choices. That's really empowering.
Yeah. And with the fierce conversations, it's what's really true for you, what's coming up. But if it's about somebody else, it's never about somebody else. So if you have to know where your come from is.
Exactly.
That's what's very important.
I agree.
In that conversation, and having that fierce conversation.
Yeah.
You have to recognize, is it about you? Is it about them? And how you really communicate that across to that person and what they're going to be hearing. And ask, like, what do you hear me saying?
Yeah. Making sure that you're on the same page is really important in communication.
It's so important.
For those of you who haven't read my book, I have a whole chapter in my book about dealing with the haters. And I don't describe haters as actual haters. I say these are people in your life that probably love you who don't understand. And so seek to understand and seek to be understood. And I have a whole chapter about that in my book. Thank you. Section 3 comes to a close. My name is Lisa Chastain. I'm the host of Money is Sexy here on Friday nights on the WCOBM. Come back for Section 4, where we're going to be talking about taking risk in segment 4, technically. We're going to just break away here for a few minutes, and we'll see you right back on the WCOBM.